Hey guys, it's Chris. Welcome back to Elemental Cartomancy. I hope everyone has had a good Friday and is looking forward to the weekend. I'm coming at you today with a very quick video on the Urban Tarot. It's Transgender Awareness Week, and I wanted to purchase something that was made by someone from the transgender community. Quite often, I think one of the strongest ways that we can support our transgender siblings, people from the trans family, uh, is by supporting them with our with our wallets, with our purses, with our money. They are to this day quite underrepresented and in the kind of creator sphere. And I think that when, as purchasers, as consumers, we can make conscious choices to support people who are underrepresented, and that doesn't just obviously go for members of the transgender community. It goes for all sorts of underrepresented, groups of people. So I've put a post on the Barely Balanced Divination Den, encouraging people to show pictures of decks which either ethically represent, properly represent members of the transgender community, or indeed that have been made by members of the transgender community. And this was recommended to me by Simon, my friend Simon at the Hermit's Cave. It's created by Robin Scott, and Robin is a member of the transgender community. So let's have a wee nosy at this now. You'll know that deck walkthroughs and whatnot, it's not really something that I tend to do very often. So this won't be, for someone who's wanting like a walkthrough that you would get perhaps from Simon at the Hermit's Cave, this won't be like that. This won't be as good as that. My thing when I kind of look at a new deck is I like to look at how the deck reads. And that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing a wee interview spread with you today. But let's take a quick look at it. So obviously it comes in this box. It's quite a big box, which was the first thing that struck me when it came in the post. Comes off quite nicely. Let's do the obligatory chap. Quite a sturdy wee box we've got there. Comes with a decent sized book. So the book is the size of the box. And I've had a nosy through it. It's some of the definitions of the cards, and I have to say it is quite decent information that you get on them. Cards come in here. Some of them do this kind of thing happens. Where the space for the cards isn't as deep as what the cards are. I'm not sure actually, because I know there's two title cards, so it could be that without the title cards that isn't an issue. But if I'm honest, that kind of thing doesn't really bother me anyway. Now, size-wise, these cards are pretty huge. I can only just about get my hands around them, and I've got pretty massive hands. I've got to do what my friend Ben, we all know B-Jam, Ben calls it the pterodactyl claw, because you've got 3 fingers, and that made me chuckle, and I just had to copy him. Comparing it to a standard tarot deck size, that kind of lets you see how big these bad boys are. Or it would if I was holding it in the camera. There we go. So we are talking quite a bit taller and a fair bit, broader than your average tarot card. When we look at the front of the cards, they are, to the sides they're borderless, but they've got this kind of white border at the top and bottom. One day maybe I will get another deck and trim the borders off and only have the images, but I do still want to have the deck, a copy of the deck like this, because I do actually quite like the titles on them, because it's not just got like Queen of Wands and 7 of Cups, or rather 7 of Water, but you see the kind of the symbol for water here. It's got like the keyword, and the keyword that we normally see in the Thoth tarot cards, and it also goes a bit further. It does something that the Thoth doesn't do. It gives each of the courts a description, which I thought was quite interesting. So yeah, I suppose just a quick look at some of the images. So you can see it's slightly pippish, but it's not pippish. It's So what do you mean with that, Chris? So it's not quite like a scenic depiction, but it's not just seven cups on the card. So I would say that they're slightly more illustrated than the Thoth, but not quite as illustrated as your Rider-Waite Smith. So you can see there you've essentially just got 7 swords, but there's obviously a lot of thought gone into how the swords are arranged and stuff like that. Prince of Cups, the filmmaker. And I believe I've not gone through them side by side. It would help if I actually had. Well, that's probably better. I've not gone through this with the Thoth side by side, but I do believe that the keywords match those of the Thoth Tarot. So the images in this are really, really nice. Father for your 7 of Wands. Dominion for the 2 of Wands. So you get good LGBTQ plus representation in this deck, I do have to say. Oops. The Fool, that's actually Robin Scott, the creator, that was that modelled for this card. So it says in the guidebook. So that just lets you see some of the cards in it. But like I say, there's probably several detailed walkthroughs that would be a lot better if you're wanting to kind of get a feel for the cards and the images and whatnot. But what I'm aiming to do is give people a feel for how this thing reads. So I've got I always use the same interview spread. It's 6 cards, and we'll go through we'll go through each position means as we do it. So these are already shuffled, as you've seen when I was flipping through them there. But let's just give them a quick. They do riffle quite nicely, albeit they're they're quite large, so they can be awkward to get them into position to riffle them. But once you've got them into position, they riffle nicely. The cardstock's lovely. Just flipped over one of those cards, have I? No, I've not. Never mind. Right, okay, let's do a wee cut. Okay, so the first position, I'm asking the deck to tell me about itself. So we've got this Princess of Wands here, and I really I'm struck by the diversity of this Princess of Wands. The Princess of Wands is the dancer. Now, when I look at this up close, I mean, the gender, I really love how the gender isn't like, what's the right word to use? Is it quite ambiguous? Is that the right word? You've got the fire, you've got the salamander, so there's a lot of imagery in here, obviously. The Princess of Wands for me is all about ideas. It's, lots and lots of ideas thrown at you, and you're kind of coming up with lots of kind of new ideas. It's very much a kind of adventurer, explorer type card. The dancer is an interesting one because it's perhaps a bit different from how I would normally associate that. So let's just have a think about how what that might mean in the context of the Princess of Wands, and in the context of telling me about the deck. So obviously quite artistic, quite creative, expressive as well. Dance is a way that we express ourselves, and it's actually a way that we deal, in my opinion, we deal with a lot of our shit through dance. It's a way to kind of get things off your mind and get rid of a lot of pent up energy in a healthy way. So perhaps what the deck is saying to us is that it's very energetic, very high energy, lots of ideas, and it's going to kind of allow for that opportunity to get rid of, to kind of get your shit out on the table, as it were, with the cards. lay it on the table and see it for what it is, and deal with it in a healthy way. So what are your strengths as a deck? Well, there we go. The Two of Cups. So forming a really, and you've got love as the key word there. For me, the Two of Cups is saying, you know, I'm going to be able to form a really close bond with this deck. The 2 is obviously quite an early on number. It takes a bit of working on. It's very much a card of discovery, at least for me. You know, when you're in the Two of Wands phase, there's still a kind of fair way to go before you get that kind of happy family type situation that we tend to associate with the Ten of Cups. So don't get me wrong, I know that I need to work with this deck. I know that I need to work hard with it, and I can't just kind of put it down for the next 4 months and then expect to pick it up and have a great relationship with it. But if we can really work together and form that bond, then, you know, that the connection could be something really to behold. Limitations. So what are your weaknesses as a deck? Okay, so Tower, so perhaps not so good at dealing with the difficult messages, you know, perhaps not so good at, you know, when you're in that devil phase, which is what comes before the Tower, you're really kind of focused on your desires, and you kind of lose that crucial process of risk assessment. It's almost been led solely by your desires and not kind of taking into account what's needed, you know, what you actually need. It's all about want and not about need. And the Tower is the energy that really strips that back, takes that away. So perhaps that is not going to be a strength of this deck, or perhaps it's more in how the message is delivered. Sometimes the difficulty of the Tower is how it happens, you know. Quite a lot of the times when we're in Tower energy, we know that we need a change, you know, we know things need to change, but it's how the message is delivered that we find most difficult. So maybe it is just saying, you know, I don't intend to beat about the bush. I don't intend to dress things up. If shit needs to change, I'm going to tell you. It's not going to be comfortable, and you're probably going to hate me for it for a bit, but that's just the way that it's going to have to be. The next card is what are you here to teach me? And that's the Six of Wands, and that's the key word here is victory. I'm just sorry, the kind of camera, you know, span isn't really the best on this. So we've got the victory card, the Six of Wands, here to teach me how to, you know, how to celebrate your successes, for one. Okay. So really kind of honour yourself and kind of praise yourself for the things that you do well. The Six of Wands, very much about an energetic exchange. Okay, so we've got the depiction here of someone who's kind of winning a race. Now, that person, you know, is obviously really inspired, full of energy. They'll be inspiring the kind of crowd around them who'll be cheering for them, but equally they'll be getting a lot from the people who are cheering. So it's this idea of kind of the give and take. So here to teach me, you know, and I think I would really kind of echo what I said here. It's this idea of if you can work with me, and form that bond, then I will give back to you tenfold. It's that kind of thing. How can I best learn and collaborate with you? The Ace of Cups. So it's funny because if anyone watched my my kind of deck interview spread with this deck, the Fournier Tarot de Marseille, I think I got the Ace of Cups somewhere in that interview spread as well, and so we've got as a strength, we've got the Two of Cups, and as a kind of how to work with me, we've got the Ace of Cups. So it's again, it's echoing that message. You know, we're going to work great together, but you need to remember that this is a very new relationship, and you need to work with me in order to kind of get the best out of things. You know, the Ace is just the potential energy, and yeah, the potential, sometimes we do see the kind of full spectrum of what we can achieve, but it is very much something that we need to work on. So that, again, just kind of echoing a similar theme throughout the spread is what I see here, is that I really need to kind of work with it and really form that bond, that emotional bond. You know, we're talking cups, we're talking water, so we're talking about feelings and emotions and kind of emotional connections. And what is the potential outcome of a relationship? We've got the Seven of Cups, which you can see that the keyword is debauch, debauchery. Now, I'm going to look this one up in the book because I want to see what the book, I'm interested to see what the book says about this. So, so I'll just read bits of this out. So Aleister Crowley had some choice words to say about debauchery in the Book of Thoth. This is one of the worst ideas that one can have, he explains. Its mode is poison, its goal madness. Considering the exciting life that Crowley was reported to have enjoyed, I'm suspecting that his unusual clarity regarding this card may come from some personal experiences with the dangers of excess. The Thoth version of the card that Lady Frida Harris painted for him depicts a set of 7 cups, or a set of cups overflowing with some sort of horrible green slime floating above a lake of the same. So, and he's saying he's kind of seen this as like a bachelorette party for this card, or rather the last painful dregs of a party that has already gone a bit longer than was it really wise. So it's this idea of overindulging. Perhaps it's a shame to see that card come up, if I'm honest, because for me these cards are all quite positive, but it's interesting that we're getting that, and I know this is really just how I've laid the cards out, but it's interesting that I'm getting that beside the Tower, because we say the Tower is saying perhaps this deck is not the best at dealing with those kind of, you know, grabbing you out of that devil energy and stripping everything back. And then next to it, we're saying that potential outcome is to overindulge in things, which is again nods back from me to devil energy. So perhaps this deck isn't going to be the strongest deck to use, and it's not going to be the best one for, you know, when I am in a bad pattern or a bad habit and I'm really kind of turning to the tarot to kick my arse and really get me into shape. Perhaps this isn't the deck that I want to be picking up. But certainly in terms of, you know, water energy, connections, love, success, that really seems to be where this card is, you know, because we've got wands and we've got fire and water here, you know. So in terms of celebrating my successes and being the best, you know, kind of building myself up and kind of giving myself that push along when I am doing well, this seems to be a good deck to use. But perhaps when things aren't going so well and I'm looking for a bit of counselling, a bit of advice, maybe I would be better turning to another deck. So there we go, guys, that's my interview spread. That is the Urban Tarot by Robin Scott. And yeah, I shall leave it there for the evening. Thanks very much for everyone who's watched this. I hope that you've enjoyed my interview spread. I do have to apologise for, you know, I suspect a fair bit of that might have been kind of off camera, you know. My camera span, as I say, isn't the best in this kind of setting. But hopefully it's been an enjoyable kind of experience. I do kind of love to, you know, read the cards, as you all know, as I've said a million times. You're probably sick of hearing me say it by now. You know, laying out cards and kind of discussing what they mean is kind of what I enjoy doing. So this has been fun. I hope it has been for you as well. Like I say, I hope everyone has an amazing weekend. Take care, everyone, and I shall speak to you at some point over the weekend, I'm sure. Bye bye.